This is Matt Boldy, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, nice. 30 days in the hole. 30 days in the hole. Oh, yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome into yet another live show here on a Sunday. Quite the game last night. Frankly, I'm glad I missed it, but we are going to dive plenty into it here today. Also got a special guest that will be joining the show here later. So without further ado, let's turn it over to Denny. Good morning. Good afternoon, Denny.
Well, hello, Seth, and welcome to What the Hell Are You Smoking? And I got to tell you, I'm going to be burning up the seats in the Wild office today. I got a lot to say. As I told you on Tuesday, I saw a lot of signs of the team giving up on Hynes. I think last night's game just showed it 100%. 18 shots in the total game. Boldy and Rossi both have one shot. And of course, we got Bogo Morel giving up the goals again. Things got to change. The team is in despair. As I said on Tuesdays, they feel betrayed. No help. And I got some ideas on how to do that. But before we do, I want to introduce our special guest for this week. Here we go. Well, this is I have a special guest today, and he's a former fan favorite of the Minnesota North Stars. It's Jack Carlson. Jack, nice to see you.
Denny, nice to see you this morning.
And a good morning.
Every morning's good.
Yes, it is. At our age, it is.
I know.
And fans today, Jack is going to talk about his views on the Minnesota Wild and give his views on the high school hockey championship, which I'm really looking forward to hearing. Jack, go ahead.
Well, I thought it was a great tournament. What I enjoyed this year about it was there were teams that got there for the first time. It's got to be real nerve-wracking for some of these young players. They're in I'll take an example would be Laverne. They probably have 500-600 people at a game. And then you go to the state high school hockey tournament and there's 15,000. So that could be a little bit of a shock. But again, just to get there is huge. Kids play hard. I'm kind of partial because two Northern teams won the Class A and the Class AA. So it was good. I mean, it was good to see the Moorhead come down, haven't won it before, and win. And you get the other one was who won the Class
East Grand Forks.
East Grand Forks. They come in with a 500 record. You're doesn't matter what your record is. If you're playing well at the end of the year and your goaltender is going to play very well, you got a real good chance because overtime, one shot in, you advance.
Absolutely. 11 of the 16 teams first time there, which was awesome.
I love it. I mean, it just puts some refreshing on seeing new teams. Some of these teams, again, like Rogers, their programs are coming along. They get to the state tournament. It's just good that the kids see in your youth hockey programs that this is this could be something that they could be involved with, and it just creates a lot of enthusiasm. And looking at the last game, you got 20,500 people at the game, high school.
Yes.
Figure that one out.
Well, the 20,521, I think it was the largest, bigger than all the NHL games.
Yeah,
Figure that one out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that Sunday afternoon, they had the NHL network on, and the four guys on there were talking about the state tournament, and And again, they're shaking their heads like, wow, for high school hockey, the enthusiasm.
It was awesome,
Yeah.
as it always is.
As it always
It's
is.
kind of weird. It was kind of weird not having Louis there, but
Was it?
time moves on.
Exactly.
So, what was your favorite play or the most spectacular play you saw in the high school championships?
Well, I mean, Denny, it's hard to look at one particular play. I like the structure these kids play. I like the way they move the puck. You don't get. I mean, you had the kids, a couple of kids from Moorhead, the Kraft and the Cullen kid.
Yep.
They were leaders and they led, and that's what you like to see. What I also liked about the tournament this year, it wasn't, blowing guys up, body checking. I mean, it was good. And again, you have to be well disciplined. You don't want to start taking a bunch of penalties. The periods are 17 minutes long. You take 3 penalties. Well, now you're playing full strength for 9 minutes. Well, you're not going to get it done that way.
Exactly.
So I was impressed with the coaching on all the teams, the way the kids moved the puck. There wasn't a lot of the stuff, whistle blows, you get the pushing, shoving, all that's the kind of stuff. Again, I'm sure these coaches sat down with their team and said, you know what? Skate away from it.
A lot of the teams were playing the 2-1-2, which is what the Wild use. And they played it, they executed it extremely well.
They really did. And, Denny, going back, talking about the stuff after the whistle, we were playing a game one time in Chicago, and the referee was Bill Friday. And Glenn Sonmore, our coach at the time, called him over and said, listen, Bill, I'm going to instruct my players. The last time we were here, there was all this stuff after the whistle. He says, Glenn tells the referee, if you're not going to call the stuff after the whistle, you're going to have a war on your hands. Well, that's the last thing a referee wants to hear is there's going to be a war that night in the game. He goes, if there's stuff after the whistle, I'm instructing my players to skate away. You better call it. Well, Chicago had 11 penalties. We had 1, and we beat them.
Yes.
So that's the discipline part of the game that I enjoy because guess what? When the whistle blows, that means play stops.
Well, I brought up on my last show about how the refs are not calling the games and players are getting frustrated. And I'm talking about Hartman. When players play and they're doing something wrong and the refs don't call it, the players are getting so frustrated. And Hartman is an example, but it's happening all over the NHL.
Yeah.
They take it in their own hands. And what would you do to make the refs accountable? That's the big question.
Well, I don't know if you have to make your supervisor of official has to go in there and saying, after the whistle, again, I refereed in USA Hockey for 15 years, and I was real adamant about stuff after the whistle blew. Well, that means play stops. Now if you're going to rub somebody's face with your glove or push and shove, you know what? Put your arm up, both of you, let's go. If you want to play 3-on-3 the whole night, we'll play 3-on-3. But you're not going to do that stuff. But again, you get the referees that saying, well, oh boy, we'll let the guys decide. No, what you're doing is you're deciding the game.
Absolutely.
Don't let the players decide it. You decide it right at the start.
That's what the refs are for.
Correct.
And if you look at how the refs in the high school championships game called their game, that's the way the pros should do it. Really.
Absolutely. And you know what?
Denny,
and the other part of that, Denny, too, is that, when somebody takes advantage of somebody or there's a hit or something, and you go to the referee and say, why didn't you call that? And they all say, all 4 of them will go, we didn't see it. Well, where are you watching? What do you mean? There's 4 of you. You didn't see it? None of you? I mean, that, but that's their out, is that we didn't see it. Okay.
Yeah. Right. So what are your views on the Wild right now? shape they're going, and what would you do as a GM?
Well, I don't know if I do anything with the. Well, I think they're past that right now. I think obviously you're missing some players, and that's always huge.
Yep.
I mean, Rossi and Boldy have already passed Kaprizov, and they've played 30 more games than Kaprizov, but they're only a couple points ahead of them.
That's right.
I really truly believe they're in a difficult position right now because one, they're not scoring, but I think Coach Hynes has to do a little bit with if your power play is not working, and you've told these guys shoot, crash the net, shoot, crash the net, and they're not doing it, then guess what? We'll put our third line out there. We'll put our fourth line out there. We got to try something different. But when there's a power play, guys are already jumping over the boards because I'm on the power play. Say Boley or say Rossi. They're already jumping out there. They're not being told. They're just jumping on it because we're the number one power play unit. Well, you know what? If you're not getting the job done, you have to try something else. Even if it's one time. But at least if you're creating chances, you got to remember one thing. You've got 4 lines. They're all professional hockey players. They all can play the game. They all can shoot. They all can skate. They all can make a play. So try something different. Or
my
say to them,
sentiment exactly.
Say to the players, I want no more than 3 passes. If you get the puck on the third pass, I want a shot on net, and we're going to crash the net. Well, everybody knows that now. Everybody knows. 1 pass, 2 pass, shoot. 1 pass, 2 pass, 3 pass, shoot. Everybody crashes the net. Okay? You know that.
Yep. My sentiment is, why isn't Jurasek playing? He would add such an extra dimension with his shot to the power play, number one.
Yeah.
Bogo and Morel are not getting it done. They haven't gotten it done. They're only playing them 10, 11 minutes a game. Why not give the kids a shot? Because the Wild, I think, feel betrayed because they didn't do anything at the trade deadline, and they said, the money constrictions, but that's not really true. They could have put someone on the LTIR and made money available to get somebody because when you're losing your top 3 players, your top horses, you got to do something to help the team, and he didn't really do anything.
Well,
a couple bottom sixers.
Yeah, but I did like the trade for the kid from Boston. I mean, he's 6'6". I mean, as you all know, that when you get into the playoffs, the game becomes you play heavy, and you have to have some bigger bodies out there that are can either dish it out or they're not going to get hurt because of getting taken out of the play. But I just think that some players just aren't playing with a sense of urgency. We're up 10 points now. We're already in the playoffs. Well, watch out what happens. I mean, the next 15 games, everybody's battling for those playoff spots, and points are going to be hard to come by. And I think they're getting great goaltending. I mean, they gave up 5 last night, but, overall, Gustafsson and Fleury have played very, very well. And it's just one of those where, you just got to start shooting. You're going to get a fluke goal. You're going to get goalie makes a mistake. It goes off one of their defensemen, goes into the net, whatever. But, this perimeter game and this is the way they play in the playoffs. They're always on the perimeter. You've got to get down and dirty. That's just bottom line and they better get that in their heads right now, because if they get in, that's the way the game is going to get played. And you see all these teams that come in, the St. Louis Blues, you get who else? These teams that, are going to take you out, body. They're going to wear you down. You might lose the first game, you might lose the second game, but 7-game series, they're going to wear you down.
Well, Boldy and Rossi are averaging 1 shot per game. Top line, 1 shot per game. They haven't scored in 10 games.
Well, but I believe. But Denny, here's as a coach, you got to sit them down. Maybe they come into the locker room and going, "Where's my jersey?" Well, you're a healthy scratch tonight. Well, that's sending kind of a message. It might be too late now, but again, they're not taking responsibility that they have to do more. I don't know, are they nervous about getting hurt? But it's always, when I watch the games, it's always this, let's do the pretty play. I mean, I was watching the Buffalo Vegas game. Yes, or I wasn't watching, I saw the highlight.
Right.
Vegas was up a goal. They come into the zone, and the guy's going to pass it because he doesn't want to put it in the open net. He wants to let Eichel, get his goal. Well, they come back down and they score. Well, you know what? Put it in the net. Score.
Yeah.
Who cares? Don't worry about someone's feelings.
That's a good
game,
point.
You got the 2 points.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I'm predicting the Wild go on a 10-game losing streak here before they make any changes because there's absolutely no reason why Jurasek isn't playing. You can't tell me that Merrill and Bowler are better than him. And, Denver's may not make the playoffs, so we got Zeke William coming here shortly.
Well, you know what? I mean, maybe. I mean, he would be a great addition. But again, I don't know, Denny, I don't know the size of him, if he's a big kid, if he's but again, he handles the puck well. But you know what? You've got defensemen. The Jirasek kid came up, played pretty well.
Yes, he did.
And he's a big kid, and he's a right-handed shot. So, you've got to get these forwards going. I mean, you've got some guys that are making some awful big salaries, and they've got 8, 9, 10 goals. Well, that's not going to do it.
You got that right. Well, anything else you want to add?
Well, I don't think so, Denny, because I might be in trouble right now. No. No, but again, I mean, this is you're in mid-March. You've got these guys got to get it in their minds right now that it's going to be a grind.
Yep.
And by no means are they in. I mean, would that be it's the same thing with the Minnesota Twins. The last month of the season, you tank and you don't
crash.
get in.
Yeah.
I mean that.
Well,
and again, they're saying Kaprizov and Eck are going to not if they come back, but when. Well, I mean, you got to get them. It's going to take them 3, 4, 5 games to get back into game playing shape. I believe Brodin's close to coming back. That'll help. But again, when Kaprizov and Eck come back, everybody's going to breathe a sigh of relief and go, "Oh, our heroes are back, and now we're going to start winning games." Well, it doesn't work that way either. You got to look at the other teams.
Right.
You have to look at the other teams in the other dressing room and going, well, they're not going to sit back, and they're playing for jobs. If they're not in the playoffs, they're playing for positioning in the playoffs. It's going to be difficult.
Well, I predicted last week that the Wild missed the playoffs by 2 points.
Wow.
Yeah, it's that bad.
Well, I mean, I look at their schedule. They got LA coming in, and then I think they believe they have Seattle. Both those teams aren't playing really well right now. But again, I mean, you just can't, lace your skates up and go on the ice and go, well, we got these 2 points because we're at home and they're not playing well. Well, again, any professional athlete out there, whether you're in the playoffs or you're not, you're playing for a job. General managers on teams are looking at you, not only your own team, but other teams, and saying, you know what, they're out of the playoffs by 20 points, but he's out there still, grinding it and doing his job. And that's what you got to have.
Yeah, I agree completely. And our team is not doing that right now.
Yeah. And you know what, maybe some of these leaders have to, and you look at the penalties they take, tripping, interference, holding. I mean, where are the elbowing, high sticking, cross-checking? Some of this stuff that, I mean, I'm not saying you got to go out there and get into any kind of a fisticuffs, but you know what? Instead of being always on the inside, having other teams play that way, initiate it. Initiate it.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Because
I like that.
You know what? When you've got one guy doing it, next thing you know, you got 2 guys doing it. Next thing you know, you got 8 guys doing it. Now you got 9 guys. And guess what? You're going to stand up for your teammates, no matter what. But don't accept things out there that you can do something about.
All right.
Denny, I think I'm promoting violence right now, but I'm not.
As you should, as one of the most famous North Stars ever. Really, thank you for coming on the show again. You
You're
were a
welcome.
big hit the last time, and I know you're going to be a big hit this time.
Well, thanks, Denny. Appreciate that.
Do you have anything that you want to promote with the North Stars or anything? We can put up a link for you.
Not at this time. No, we're kind of a little status quo right now, but
Okay.
I appreciate that a lot.
Not a problem. Well, Jack, thank you for coming on the show once again, and we'll look forward to talking to you next month, maybe, okay?
All right, Denny, sounds good. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks.
All
Appreciate
right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
How about that?
That was a pretty good interview. Now, fans, we had to pre-record because Jack couldn't be here for the live part. So we recorded that at, 11 o'clock, something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a handful, I tell you. So, getting on with the show. All I can say to Hynes, what the hell are you smoking? I want to know what you determine how Bogo and Morel are better in Jurassic. Really, I would like to know. What do you look at? It amazes me that you're not doing anything to help the lineup. And if you think playing Bogo and Morel for 10, 11 minutes a night, it's killing Faber. I read an article this morning from Russo, and Faber said he's just tired. And that's not good. He shouldn't be playing more than 20 minutes a game. And they got him up to damn near 30. And that's poor coaching. You got to give the kids a chance. We got, 17 games left?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, we got enough time to make the playoffs, but if you don't change it up, we're not going to make the playoffs. I mean, the way the team's playing right now, as I told you on Tuesday, I saw a lot of signs that the team was giving up. And I think last night clearly indicates they have given up. And you have 18 shots for the whole game. What are you going to do? You got to change something. And adding Jurassic, go ahead.
I was just going to say 18 actual shots on goal and 19 shots that missed the net completely. That's not great math.
That's terrible. And we're talking about two of our best shooters. When Boldy and Rossi are averaging 1 shot per game, what does that tell you?
Well, and we got to keep in mind too. Like let's look at this from the approach of the opponent. Teams that are playing the Minnesota Wild only have to key in on one line.
Yep.
That's it. Now, am I letting Rossi and Boldy off the hook for how they have played recently? No, but I am willing to contend that I have far greater issues with the rest of the lineup not being able to hold their weight compared to that trio. I think the bigger issue is that this lineup is filled with players marauding as top 6 guys or even middle 6 guys that just aren't that. They're not even close to that type of a player. And we just continue to trot them into those spots in the lineup, expecting that, well, hey, because of one really big aberration season, we're just going to be able to get that production level. And that has never been the case. That has never been even remotely close to the case.
Well, when I look at the team and how they're playing right now, I see Hartman, Foligno, and Goudreau putting in effort. And that's it. Our top line, I don't know what to say. They, when you're getting 1 shot on net per game, haven't scored in 10 games, they're telling management they are not happy. I've seen this over and over and over. over the years. And Billy, if I were you, this is what I would do right now. David Carlisle from Denver may not even make the playoffs this year. Well, now's the time to hire him. You hire him, then you're bringing Z William right with him. And you give the team hope. You know, we're going to have 5 kids next year on the team, possibly 6. It all depends on Riley Hynes if he's gained enough muscle to play in the NHL. You know, Riley Hynes, when we watched him in the, what was that, the deal where we watch all the players?
The development camp.
Yes, the development camp. The only thing I could see wrong with him, he's got to gain 15 pounds of muscle being an NHLer. He gets checked off the puck too easily otherwise. Same thing that Rossi had to go through. Once Rossi gained 15 pounds of muscle, he was an NHLer, and that'll be the same case with Riley Hynes. And I have been unable to find out with Riley Hynes if he's gained weight and muscle. I mean, when you look at the stats, they don't tell you he's gained 10 pounds or 5 pounds. And so I don't know where he's at. But he's going to be one hell of a player when he's finally ready. And you got Yurov coming in. You got Wallstrom coming in. You got Ogren. And you got Jurasek. You got to play these guys, especially Jurasek right now. I can't emphasize enough what he will do for this team with his shot. Nobody in the team has a shot like him, and he would just make the power play so much better because he's so accurate. His shot is so heavy. And, you know, a fan sent me a 2-minute clip of Z Williams skating and going through drills and stuff. And I don't know how I did it, but I deleted it because I really wanted to show you guys. I'm going to tell you what, Z Williams is an awesome skater. His edge work, although not as good as Kaprizov's, is really good. His transition back and forth, I mean, we're getting one hell of a player. He's going to be a starter just like Brock Faber. There's no question in my mind when he gets here, he's going to be inserted right in the line because I'm going to tell you what, that kid's going to be a superstar. And I wish I didn't. I don't know what I did to it, but I deleted it somehow. I'm not real good with the tech stuff. But whoever sent that to me, thank you. Because I tell you what, it really opened my eyes just how good Z William is. And if I was a GM right now, I would hire David Carlisle right now. Then you're getting Z William right now. And that'll give the team hope. You know, with Kaprizov coming back and Brodin, you know, we get our horses back. You have to remember, I had him ranked number 4 in the NHL back when they were healthy or fairly healthy. I mean, they've only had 2 games where they were completely healthy. But they were one team that very hard to beat. We miss Kaprizov terribly. And when Billy didn't bring any help in, the team is, you know, they're in despair. And it shows on the ice with their play. They've given up. And if Billy doesn't do anything to change his lineup right now, we're not going to make the playoffs. I could see you going on a 10-game losing streak, honest to God. It's that bad. John Hynes has lost the team. I don't care what they say. I've seen it, you know, so many times over the years. The team does not respect John Hynes as a coach anymore. They're not playing for him anymore. It's time to move on. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's all well and good in theory, but absolutely none of that is going to actually happen.
Well, they missed the playoff 2 years in a row. I'll bet you Billy's seat is very hot.
And
Be
it's
on
like
fire.
it's Billy's roster. Billy's the one that put the roster together and
Yeah.
sees the flaws, and it's this team just continues to operate as if this is just going to magically fix itself. They have, I think, kept the same lineup together for something like 5 straight games.
Now, where's that got him?
No signs of changes. It's just like, and I'm just going to ask the question straight up to the audience.
Yes.
Do you want to see this Minnesota Wild team in the playoffs? Assuming that the anticipated return for the likes of Kirill Kaprizov and Joel Eriksson Ek doesn't pan out, because guess what? It's the middle of March. Still haven't even thought about resuming skating for either one of those. So you're running out of time. Do you even want to see this team get in?
It's a good question. It's a very good question. If I was running this team right now, I would talk to San Jose. I'd give up a couple of 4th-round picks just for them to take Morel and Bogo. And if they want to invoke a no trade, I would make them do Herbies 2 hours a day and sit them on the bench until they change their mind. Because believe me, nobody wants to do Herbies for 2 hours a day. They would change their mind in a heartbeat, because they won't be at the team next year, or at least they shouldn't be. Who knows? Billy's way of thinking on a team that can win the cup is way gone by. Speed and skill now, not old and slow. And that's what he's doing. And, when you only have 3 or 4 players actually playing out there, that's got to tell him something. He's got to make a move. And, I'm just so disappointed in what they're doing right now. John Hynes, he says he talks for hours a day about the lineup. Well, what the hell do they talk about? What do they see in Morel and Bogle that they keep him in the lineup? Jurasek looked good when he played here. Why isn't he in? He's a damn sight better than both of them. I don't get it. I don't understand their thought process, and I wish Hynes would tell us exactly what he looks at to keep Jurasek out, because that would be a big help, number one, just to start. And we can make, now they bring up Lambos too. Let's see what we got, because right now we're not winning with the team we have. Let's make some changes and see what we can do. Because I'm going to tell you, we're looking at a 10-game losing streak with the team the way they're playing right now. And I don't see that changing if they don't do so. And let's see what else I got. Well, I'm not going to dwell on Billy and Hynes any more than that, because that's enough. The message has been sent. Billy, you're on the hot seat, and it's Judd's time. Please step aside and let Judd take over. That's all I can say about that. What do you got, Seth?
I mean, the only way that any sort of changes are going to be precipitated is, I think, if this happens next year, because we're still hiding behind the cloud of the buyouts. And so the roster really hasn't been given a real shake at playing competitively under the same constraints as everybody else. But I just have to say, because I have had it sent my way quite a bit about the endless amounts of money that are going to be available for this team once the season is over.
Not really.
Not a ton because, well, I guess you don't have to worry about an extension for Murat Huznadinov because he got shipped out. He scored 2 goals with Boston since he landed there. Playing fantastic, by the way. Like, it just amazing how you put somebody in to a spot in which their skills are actually shown. And he's got 2 goals through 4 games. He's playing 15 and a half minutes a night.
Imagine that. See, that's John Hynes doesn't like rookies, doesn't like playing them. And when he does play them, third, fourth line, no minutes, that's not coaching up. And Boston saw something in him, and they got a hell of a deal because I like Murat. He's got wheels, and he's got good stick handling, and it's showing. Good for him.
Let's talk about this from Trav in regards to David Carl leaving Denver. Sounds like it's going to take a mountain for him to leave.
Really? Where's he get that from?
A few teams have already spoken to Carl. It's going to take a lot to get him to leave. There's a backstory there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And would he even want to come here anyway?
Well, Zeke Williams, number one. And if teams have already talked to him, I wonder what they're offering. It's easy to say that, but what are they really offering?
Trav said he'll explain. So
yeah, please do. Trav knows.
we stand at the ready. One thing that I think has to be a priority this offseason, they have got to get Iowa figured out.
Seth, we really need to go down there for a weekend and watch a game. Just to get a hands-on and eye in the view of the hockey and how they're playing. Because I didn't think much of their coach when he was here. He's definitely over his head down there. They're not playing up to expectations at all.
Career record of 47, 69, and 13.
That says it all right there. And that's one of Billy's boys, so you know where I'm going with that. Yeah. Any questions from the fans today? I'm sorry we didn't have it last week, but
yeah, if anybody's got any questions, fire them up. Here's a point from Dan, friend of the show. The Wild have scored 2 regulation goals or fewer in 12 of their last 15 games. They've earned points in 7 of those games. Hellebuck's going to win the Vezina, but Gus should be top 3 in voting. That's the only reason that this team is staying afloat is these goalies. They're really the only reason that this team is still even in a remote spot where they're at right now. If they were getting even like league average goaltending, this is a last place team right now.
Absolutely. It makes such a big difference when you lose your big horses. We've stayed 500 simply because of the depth we had, but now the team, because of no help at the trade deadline, they're just disappointed. And you can see it in their play. I don't know what else I can say about it. I've seen it over and over and over. And, John Hynes' days should be numbered.
So here's what Trav has to say. Carl committed to Denver as a player. He was also up for the draft. Prior to the draft, Carl was diagnosed with a heart condition and could never play hockey again, but Denver honored their scholarship.
What does that have to do with becoming a head coach? I mean, in today's world, it's nice that he shows, they help me, I'm going to help them. But David Carl said at the end of the juniors, he's done. with the juniors and pretty much alluded to the fact that, he's looking for the next step. So I don't know. And if he doesn't want to come here, well, I can think of a couple other coaches that I would like to see here too. But David Carl would be my first choice now.
I don't think it's a desirable job right now. Now, couple
Why?
years down the line, sure, but the bloat on this roster. Who wants to come in and deal with that?
Well, that's why Judd needs to take over, because he'll make a lot of changes. And like I said, we got all these kids coming in. They got to make room for them. So one way or another, if you stick them down in Iowa, I'd be so disappointed. I mean, we're not a playoff team now. And even when we get Kaprizov back and Eck and Brody, we're still not a playoff team. We have one line, 1.5 lines when they get back. And yeah, we were hard to beat in the beginning, in the first half of the season, but it takes Kaprizov a while to get going. He needs a runway, and as I said before, he should be out playing pond hockey with the Gophers to get ready. But I'm sure they're not doing that. But that's what I would do. I would, if Kaprizov listening, go play pond hockey with the Gophers. They got 3 weeks off because they lost in the playoff spot. I'm sure they'd love to play with him.
Well, if he's, if he has begun skating yet, I don't think he's even close to resuming skating.
Exactly. So how do you know he's going to be ready at the end of the season?
He won't be.
Yeah, he should have been put on LTIR.
I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm going to apologize in advance, folks. I have fully ascended into my villain heel turn. So this last few weeks of the season is probably going to be pretty annoying, but I am kind of fed up. I'm kind of fed up with just the continued, like, well, what are we supposed to do? I don't know, man. You're the one that puts the roster together.
Oh, I tell you, I'm so frustrated. Do we have any more questions?
Let's get to this point from Dan. I like this. Number one head coaching candidate should be Todd Nelson. Back-to-back AHL championships with Pittsburgh. His lone season as an NHL coach was a half a year with Edmonton when they were tanking for Connor McDavid.
Well, I can tell you right now, Todd Nelson was my first pick at the beginning of the season, if you remember. But after what David Carl did for the juniors and winning the championship, he would be my number one. He's my second pick, and he would be a good one to get too. I mean, our defensive coach from Ottawa, he's doing a hell of a job. Another of Billy's friends, Billy's boys. I don't know what they saw on him. He certainly hasn't shown me anything, I can tell you that. This team needs a shakeup in the worst way. And whoever comes in.
Let's go to this from Jay. Jay has put this in the chat a couple of times. I'm sorry, Jay. I was going to get to it. How many wins do you see this week versus LA, Seattle, and Buffalo?
0. I'm not kidding. I see the Wild go on a 10-game losing streak with the way the Wild are playing right now. I don't see any hope.
I don't see a win against the Kings. Kings, like 4 other teams this year, just have the Wild's number. Again, because of speed on the roster and scoring talent. So I'm going to say that tomorrow is a loss. And here's the frustrating part is Seattle and Buffalo should be very winnable games. I'll be surprised if there's a split there. And both of those games are going to be a dogfight. Because this team, like what we're seeing without Kirill in the lineup, if this team has anything that resembles even remotely an off night, no chance.
They've had an off night for a long time. And I can tell you, what did Seattle do us last time we played them? Buffalo is playing much better hockey now that they're out of the playoffs, which is typical every year, Buffalo hockey. But they're playing really good hockey right now. I don't see us winning any. And the 10-game losing streak continues.
Let's go to this question from Bob. Pylon John and Marcus Johansson are off contract this coming season. Bogo's got one more left. Do you think Brazo and Chisholm will be re-signed? I think Marcus Johansson's getting extended. I think John Merrill's getting extended. And I think Declan Chisholm of those players will be the one that doesn't re-sign. I think Brazo will stay. I think Hinestroza will stay.
Well, I hate to say it, but I don't want to see Johansson on the team. Hinestroza, he's a pretty good fourth-line player, to be honest. He goes to the net. He goes to the grease areas. He scored a couple of goals for us, and he's a pretty smart player, to be honest. I don't see anything wrong with his play, other than he's not a first or a second line player. But, for a fourth line, he's acceptable. I'd still much rather have the Dew brothers, but it is what it is.
Marcus Johansson, in his 4-year career with the Minnesota Wild, has played in 192 games. He has 86 points, 29 goals.
Yeah.
So
it says it all.
190 games. That's 2 full seasons, basically. 29 goals, 86 points. And this
That's
year, in
material.
58 games, he's got 6 goals, 18 assists, and yet, still getting that high-level production.
Well, I think he's got dirt on management. That's the only way I can see why he's still there. He just, and actually he's played pretty good the last couple of games. I mean, if you call Johansson playing good, he's played better, I should say. He wouldn't be on my team. He'd be history at the end of the year.
I think he's just a representative of kind of how this roster has been played out over the last few years, that they're just comfortable with what they have. They're comfortable with what they have, don't really feel the need to upgrade anywhere. And as a result, it's a team that has shown some major flaws here over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah. Well, all I know is 2 years in a row not making the playoffs is grounds for dismissal. It's Judd time.
Well, you better forward that up to the owner's box.
Well, Craig Leopold, I'm going to send you a letter and get about 5,000 signatures on, because believe me, nobody's happy with the team. And, they're packing the stadium, but that can change in a heartbeat, because there's no effort from the team. What are you going to do? Any more questions?
Can we fire Craig Leopold?
Well, number one, Craig Leopold is a good owner as far as I'm concerned. He spends the money. The question I have is the people he hires. Billy was, oh God, the savior when he came in, but now that he's been in control, look at the team he's assembled. It's not a cup-winning team at all. And that's even with Kaprizov, Eck, and Brodin. They're not a cup-winning team. They're a one and done. And that's not what I'm looking for. I want to see 16 wins in the playoffs. I want to see the cup before I die. And, it gets closer every year for me. So please let Judd take over. He's the best talent evaluator the Wild have ever had. Everything he does is pretty much gold. Let him run the team. He'll make the changes that are necessary because he's looking at this team and, he's got to do what Billy says. But if he doesn't have to do what Billy says, big changes come.
What do we think is on Kirill Kaprizov's mind right now?
Oh, he's just biting at the bullet. He's a gamer. You can't play. And, anytime you have a groin injury, like I've brought up before, Gabby had the same problem. And I'm pretty sure he's going to have this problem the rest of his life. Groin injuries are groin injuries, and they don't go away. It's sad to say, but it's still going to cost $15 million to sign him. And you better sign him. And you got to show Kaprizov that we can win. The good thing is he's friends with Yurov. He knows all the kids that are coming in. We could have a hell of a team just like that. Now, the kids, do I expect them to be barn burners right at the beginning? No. But we got a whole season to put it together. And that's why it's important that we get new coaching. And, this team needs an overhaul. Old and slow does not make a cup contender. And, Billy, that's what you've constructed here. This is not 90s hockey anymore. Speed and skill rules. And that's all I got to say about it. I mean, how much more can I say about it? Jesus. I've been harping on this for a long time. And, of course, they don't listen to me. Any other questions?
Not at this present moment. Bob mentions the great stone hands of Yakov Trenyan.
Yeah, he was a hell of a get, wasn't he? Yeah, another one of Billy's great signings. Not. Well, if that's it, I don't have anything more for the show. All I can say is, Billy, John Hynes, what the hell are you smoking? And that's my show for today. We'll see you next. Oh, I can't confirm it yet, but I got a couple of guests coming next Sunday. And you're really going to like them because they got a lot to say too. With that, I guess we should hang it up, Seth. Because I got nothing.
A lot has been said.
I know. And none of it's good. It's just, I don't know what else to say. I'm just, I don't know what else I can say. My displeasure with the Wild coaching staff is right at the top. Bill has got to let Judd take over. Let Judd, do his job. We need a reconstruction in a hurry, and with all the kids we got coming in, that won't take long. With that, we'll see you next Sunday at noon. Bye, everybody.